What's up, best-selling author Katie? It's Kary again, and we are chatting with our friends, and we just casually looked. We don't look all the time, but I think it's been a while. But we looked today and just said, "Hey, how's the book doing?" And Katie, for the viewers, I'm going to show this, but it's number one in trademark, number one in patent, number one in copyright. How crazy is that? That the book's been out now for at least 6 months, and it's number one in the top 3 categories of what you do every day.
Yeah, I can't believe actually, now that you just said that, it's been 6 months. Wow, that went fast.
Yeah, we leaked it out in October. I think our official launch might have been November, but yeah, it was definitely uploaded in October. And, that's really what you want. You want books to not just pop and be done, like,
Right.
oh, all your friends got it and now it's done. But what I'm looking at is this like consistent month in, month out, like category of one. We're going to hit a very interesting topic today, folks, which is the backlog of patents. Katie tipped me off to this. I think I was driving home from the airport a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned, hey, I heard there might be some delays, and then you got my brain going. So I started Googling it, and we're gonna show an article here. But what do you think is happening in the world of IP, Katie, related to AI and innovation exploding, therefore IP is exploding? You got the IP being scraped at certain articles from AI, and therefore the need for IP protection, I think, is going up tremendously.
Yeah, it's an interesting time because, I was just talking to someone about this last night. A lot of times we see so much, especially just me in my role as an IP attorney, we see a lot of large numbers of patent filings and IP protection before, in anticipation of, and before there is really public adoption of the technology. And I think with AI, that's something I've seen for the past 5-6 years, tons of patent filings. And I think now we're slowly seeing AI creeping into mainstream society. It's something maybe 2-3 years ago we weren't really seeing much of, but it's there. And a lot of times with AI, we don't even know it's there. But it's similar to the cell phone technology, right? I was looking this up last night. The first ever phone call from a cell phone was in the early 1970s.
What?
Which, like, I never knew that. And then you saw tons of patent filings on cell phone technology in the 80s and 90s. And then, most of us didn't really carry a cell phone or have a cell phone till the early 2000s. So it's interesting to see where the curve is and what happens to the technology too.
That's interesting. So basically what I hear you saying is a technology starts emerging, IP filings go through the roof because the early adopters see what's coming.
Yeah.
And then the mainstream media or mainstream masses begin adoption after a layer of protection, usually.
That's right. Exactly.
Wow. Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So, but that being said, although there's cycles that you just talked about, I don't think we've ever seen, and again, you've been in this world longer than me in the IP world, but I don't see this article having happened in the past that this gentleman who you've basically, vouched for, like you've said you at least know about him, this Quinn, right?
Yeah.
But he said, with respect to the size of the backlog, 830,000 to 860,000 applications. There was a rush to file continuations earlier this year, so that's part of it, the fees. But then another 300,000 were filed before, and then he believes it could be up to 1.2 million. Couple that with job offers for up to 600 patent examiners withdrawn And then some people I've heard have taken that buyout.
Mm-hmm.
So you got three things going on. You got fees were going to increase, people rush to get them in. 600 jobs are now vanished, meaning we're not going to grow, and you actually have a reduction of force. So what is this the perfect time for instant IP? We were chatting about this. Like, you go back, you look at Uber, you look at PayPal, you look at DoorDash, you look at QR codes. There has to be certain things to happen before mass adoption. Like even QR codes, those didn't really catch on until then COVID happened. And then all of a sudden you go to restaurants and people aren't wanting to pass out menus. So you're like scanning QR codes. And I think that's kind of what fueled them even more.
Right.
But are these the right conditions, Katie, for a big breakthrough with instant IP? And you specifically said one adoption of trade secrets, perhaps.
Yeah, I think, where I could see instant IP filling the void here would be to use it to document your trade secrets, right? While you figure out, okay, if there is this backlog, if it is going to take longer, what makes the most sense for us to protect it with, right? And I think too, the other interesting thing that's I've heard floating too is with this backlog of these applications and these examiner shortages too, does this mean now's the right time for the patent office to adopt AI tools to examine patents as well to speed things up too? So I think that's interesting that we'll all be watching too.
Interesting. So, wow, that's very interesting. And I mean, that has pros and cons right there, because Amazon has adopted AI approval for books. So this is something that I'm involved with in the book world. Amazon basically said, for whatever reason, we don't know exactly, but they've said like AI is now in charge of approving books. And what we got recently was one of our authors getting denied their book being put on Amazon because who knows? AI said they didn't even give a good reason. They're just like, you cannot publish this book.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, what? And it was clearly AI just randomly flagged it. It was called something about the culture, so it's like, I forget, but it was something about the culture. And for whatever reason, a keyword could have flagged it. I mean, I've been the victim of Meta, Facebook, rejecting certain ads. You can tell AI is rejecting them.
Oh, yeah. Even like I've had candidates who've applied to jobs tell me too that they upload their resume and their materials and the AI reads it really fast and they get an instantaneous rejection, within like minutes of applying. So, that wasn't a human reviewing it. And so you never know, the AI is really only as good as the model that it's trained on, right? And the data that it's using to run it. So sometimes you have to wonder where they're, how they're making some of these determinations there.
Would the world stand up and rejoice, though, if AI was put to be at some level of the patent examination process?
Yeah, I wonder about that, if it would maybe create more uniformity, because right now, for better or for worse at the patent office, you can land yourself with an examiner who has a very high rate of allowance and get your patent through quickly without a lot of arguing, or by, tossing of the dice, you can end up with an examiner who is extremely tough and it's a much harder uphill battle. It takes longer. So I do wonder if there was AI involved, if it would create more consistency in the review process. I'm not sure, but I think that's something I'd be curious to see.
Well, you bring up a good point. I saw Dan Sullivan the other day at Strategic Coach, and he was mentioning to me that, and I think you've said this, Nick said this before, but certain examiners are known for rejection.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So,
certain ones too, like there's some that I fight with these people all day long. They think that anything with computer software isn't patentable. And it's like, that's insane. But, when you get in a case like that, usually if you really don't get much momentum, then you have to appeal it and get their boss involved. And it just creates greater hurdles there.
Cost, friction, time for you, time for the client.
Right. So it's interesting how some of these examiners think and how they make decisions, but it's something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so you think that AI may be starting to be integrated into the USPTO just out of sheer numbers? I mean, it's not.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too, I think already, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I think there's already probably some utilization of AI there, because when you file your application, they're screening it for certain words and terms to then dictate what art unit it's going to go to, meaning art unit just means kind of like technology sector. The office is broken up into all these different areas of technology.
Yeah.
So if you're a patent examiner, you're looking at patent applications that are in a certain technological area all day long. So, you're really kind of staying hyper focused in one area. And so when your application gets submitted, it gets scanned through some process there and then assigned to a particular technology group. And then after that to a particular examiner within the technology group. So I kind of think there's some utilization of technology to kind of figure out where to send the applications to already.
Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. So that's one solution, is getting AI involved. The other, because what I was going to say is, it's not good for a country to have 800 to 1.2 million patents backlogged. Like, let's talk about that for 2 minutes. Why is that not good?
Yeah, that really kind of slows down the examination process. So that means, it's going to take longer to get your patent through to an allowance. And if you're a company that's growing and you're looking to raise capital, or, maybe you're trying to get acquired, whatever your business goals are, without having that patent approved in your hand, it creates a little bit of uncertainty for investors, for acquirers. So it's going to kind of slow down some business transactions there, which I think is unfavorable if you're an entrepreneur trying to really grow your company.
Yeah, I agree. And Dan Sullivan, as Strategic Coach, he often talks about the confidence of the entrepreneur. That's an intangible thing. Like, you can't measure, hey man, how do you feel today, to go out and crush it and make sales and attract customers and grow your business. But when you have that fence around your IP, it's incredible. Yesterday, I'm going to show you a quick picture here. This is unbelievable. DJ Code. I don't even know who this guy is, but this guy I do know now. DJ Code, this is funny, came to our class yesterday at Cedarville.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to show you this picture. He's a legit guy here. So you see him?
Oh, yeah.
So DJ Code on Instagram, but he is literally the guy behind a lot of big DJs and artists and shows. And I had referenced this Katy Perry lawsuit. She got sued because she used a certain whatever. I don't know music that well, but a certain riff or whatever, a certain part of a song. So I had showed in class 3 months ago. I'm like, look at this. Katy Perry got sued, and because of a music copyright infringement or whatever. And I showed a clip, and sure enough, the guy who sued her was super cool, super kind. He's like, I wasn't even going to say anything, but I don't want big people to walk over all kinds of small people.
Right.
He's like, I respected her. I didn't make the lawsuit egregious, but I did want to be recognized for our art and stuff. Anyway, he won. So I showed that clip 2 months ago, and DJ Code was in the Instagram video.
Oh, wow.
And I play it in class, and all of a sudden he's like, that's me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But the point is this, I'm saying all this to say that even music is IP.
Right.
And you've probably seen that a lot more than the normal person.
Yeah. It's, as we've talked about before, IP is all around us, right? And certainly music is protectable, and we see this play out all the time with disputes between artists, right?
Yeah.
Over lyrics, over actual, notes in the song.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting when you see it come full circle like this, because if this is, to me, sounds like a David and Goliath story, right? And I think it just comes back to why it's so important to be able to get your IP protected and then enforce it to show that you're really serious about it and that it's something of value to you as well.
It's amazing. I think once your eyes are open, like you say, it is everywhere. My class is starting to get comfortable with it, Katie, but I'll tell you what, I still have some resistant people in the class.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't get it. And here's the one thing, and maybe we land the plane with this today. They think that if they, as creatives, have to worry about, am I infringing, am I not infringing, that it actually stunts their own creativity. But then I have other people in the room who are actually like, no, it actually increases creativity. Like Taylor Swift has gotten more creative with all the ways that she's protected her IP because of that. What do you say to that person who's, quote, nervous or scared that, what do you think of that?
Yeah, the thing is too, it's important to remember that whether you have IP or you don't, and, if you're conducting business, someone could sue you at any time. Just because you have your own IP doesn't stop you, or not having it doesn't stop you either. But that's where having your own IP, that gives you leverage in a situation like that, right? Because then you have something to offer the other party, or maybe you can collaborate or build on top of it. But if you don't have it, then you don't really have anything to fall back on if that day should come. That you can't control or stop somebody from suing you. If they're going to sue you, they're going to sue you. But you want to have some, weapons in your own war chest to go after them with if that day should come.
Yeah. I think to me, we're scared of what we don't understand.
Right.
And our book really breaks it down simply. And I think it gives them tools with something as small as a smart contract, as big as a patent, and it gives them options.
That's right.
Right? So maybe we just land the plane today by saying, folks, you can't abdicate IP. You are a creator, first of all. If you're a business, you have differentiation. That itself is IP. So what are you going to do about it? To play ignorance and to play I'm going to opt out is actually a really bad strategy. I like what Tony D'Angelo says. He says, if you don't have a plan for your IP, your competitors do.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, Katie, this has been a wild, fun journey. I think we're just getting into it. I know we're going to do more podcasts here in the future, but this is something I'm going to be watching, this whole patent, backlog thing. So I'm excited.
Me too. I think we all are watching it closely here.
All right, folks, if you're behind in episodes, you can totally catch up. You can also grab the book, and we look forward to chatting in the future. This is You Are an IP Company with Katie and Kary, and we'll talk again very soon.